Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of this Joshua Pearce career mode here on F1 25. Welcome to part 10 of the series. If you did miss the last episode, Max Verstappen claimed victory in Spain to make it 6 victories in a row. Just absolutely insane stuff. Lando Norris kept his championship alive by finishing in second position, with Yuki Tsunoda making another Red Bull double podium. And for ourselves, the wet weather at the start wasn't very good, but we did start finding some confidence and pace in the wet towards the end, and then tried going to the end on the hards and gaining the track position, but it didn't play out the way I was expecting, and the damage with yet another collision with Kimi Antonelli and ended up in P17. Max Verstappen will head into this round with extending his championship lead now to 54 points over Lando Norris. Yuki Tsunoda is in third, 93 points behind. Myself in 8th, 18 points behind Charles Leclerc. Sonny Hayes is in 11th. He's on equal points with Pierre Gasly and 7 points behind Jack Doohan. Red Bull lead the Constructors' Championship by 71 points to McLaren. Ferrari are in third, 142 points behind. And APX GP, we find ourselves in 5th, 26 points behind Mercedes as we jump straight into a durability upgrade here. It's going to be a major MGUH reliability test, and it is available at a rush development, which is going to be less than 50% failure rate. So I'm going to give it a go at rushing this part. It's going to be the first time this series we rush a part, and if it does come through after Canada, this will skyrocket our durability to best on the grid. So definitely looking forward to try and get this one up onto the car. This weekend we do have a lot of parts on the car, which will hopefully improve our chances of bouncing back from a string of bad results and finally get back into the points. These upgrade parts from all 4 departments, but notably 2 of them are from aerodynamics, and I hope to void our straight line speed deficit to the AI that we currently have. And we have a wet qualifying session ahead of us, so just as I wasn't enjoying the wet weather, it hasn't been great for us so far this season. We've got a little bit more in qualifying, but it's looking like it's going to be a very, very dry race for us, so hopefully we can make it all up in the race. And these strings of upgrades have actually now launched us to the top of the charts. We are the fastest team on the grid, ahead of the McLarens, ahead of the Red Bulls, and so we have now got a very strong chance and 0 excuses essentially to not be finishing inside the points with the fastest car on the grid. Mercedes and Ferrari also bring upgrades to essentially make it a top 5 teams really close together on performance. Williams have closed the gap to Aston Martin as well, and behind them it's all very close, but behind is Sauber, still struggling to get their performance from the car as we now head into qualifying.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here in Canada at the wonderful Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Who's going to come out fastest of all in the next hour? Yes, it's time for qualifying.
So far this season, the wet weather definitely hasn't been our strong point, but hopefully now with all of these upgrades we do have on the car is maybe a little bit more drivable and a bit more comfortable of a vehicle to be driving in these wet conditions. As on our first flying lap there, you can see we clobbered the curbs, and in the end I actually backed out of the lap. I wasn't very happy with the lap to start with, and then that just pretty much put the nail in the coffin for that lap. On the other hand though, this time around it's been an alright lap, and this lap will only put us into P21, but you'll see the more we continue, the more of a dry line is appearing. So each lap that we go on by, we are finding a small, very marginal gain. It's not as much as I'm wanting to, but it's a gain. As we come in for a set of fresh tyres, you'll see that now the gains are really starting to come in. The fresh set of rubber is really helping. 1.5 seconds, and that's going to put us up into P11, but we now drop down to P16. So at the moment, we're not into the next part of qualifying. We need to put in another lap, and we continue to tumble down the order. It's an 8/10 margin, and we do manage to get ourselves now into the next part of qualifying. We put it into P7. And what is going on here? Liam Lawson is fastest in qualifying 1 by a single hundredth to Max Verstappen. Carlos Sainz is in third at 2/10 behind. Sonny Hayes, 6th. He's half a second behind, and we're only 400ths behind him in P7, so it's very close between the teammates. Knocked out in qualifying 1, though. It's a massive blow for second place in the championship. It's Lando Norris missing out on Q2 by 500ths of a second. Fernando Alonso and Charles Leclerc not making it as well, so 3 very big names to not make it through. Jack Doohan, George Russell, another big surprise. He was the real-life pole sitter here in this year's Grand Prix. And also, Bortoleto not making it to the next part of qualifying, as we now head out to go and do a few laps here on a set of worn tyres. So we're not really going to be using a new set. Hopefully we can try and get through this session by using some old rubber. I'm just thinking if we need fresh rubber, we'd want to use it in the final part of qualifying. And at the moment, I've only got one brand new set of intermediates, so I'm going to try and make it through on the old rubber. And at the moment, we do sit in 8th position, but I'm not feeling comfortable with this 8th position. The track is constantly getting better, and so I'd bite the bullet and we go out on the set of brand new tyres in the hope that with the rate that it is currently drying up, it's drying up much quicker than I was expecting. So I've got a feeling we could possibly be seeing some dry running in Q3. Look how dry it is now, the circuit. Well, I'd almost say we're nearly to the point where DRS, it could be activated. It's a purple first sector, green second sector, and a purple final sector for us to go fastest. But as the checkered flag drops, it's now Oliver Bearman in Q2, fastest 800s to Liam Lawson. What is going on in this qualifying? Rain is the absolute great equalizer. Esteban Ocon is third, 900s behind, and less than a 10th separating a very different top three that we see very often. We ended up in 4th, a 10th behind. Knockdown qualifying 2 is Kimi Antonelli by 600s to make it now both Mercedes missing out. Hayes in 12th, Isaac Hadjar, Lewis Hamilton making it both Ferraris out. Gasly and Stroll not making it to this final part of qualifying. As now we go very deep into the hairpin here. And you'll notice we're now on the soft compound tyres. It is absolutely now dry enough for these soft compound tyres. Alex Albon now goes fastest. We're going to stick with the lap though, and we're still going to try and at least set a benchmark lap him. I've got quite a few set of soft tyres now available to us since we haven't used any at all so far this qualifying. We send it through with the chicane here to finish off the lap. Sonoda now goes fastest, and we still manage to go faster. It's a 12.5 as now we go out for a second lap on the same set of tyres here, and you can see that 1.5 seconds improvement. This track, as it gets dry, is getting more and more grip. It's now a 10.8 is the time to beat. We now drop down to P4. The checkered flag has dropped, so this lap is going to absolutely matter. It is 2 purple sectors. We're 8 tenths to the green, and it is pole position here in Canada, and that is going to be our second one of our career. And man, this one feels quite good knowing the car that we have got underneath us. And I think it's just more the confidence that we've got to know that we can absolutely try and convert this into our first Grand Prix victory. And man, we have got quite a shaking up top 10. Verstappen in P2, Ocon in third, Hulkenberg in the Sauber, he's up into P4, then Sonoda, Albon, Lawson, Carlos Sainz, Oscar Piastri and Bearman making it 2 Hasses inside of the top 10 as we head to the Grand Prix.
Montreal is not only the second largest French-speaking city in the world, but it's home since 1978 to the Canadian Grand Prix. The name Villeneuve looms large over this one, but who can write their own legends today? It's one of the fastest races of the season here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, with around 60% of this 2.7-mile circuit taken at full throttle. There are 14 corners to navigate, the very last of which has its very own infamous history and could be the cause of a safety car today. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Joshua Pearce lines up on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Ocon, Hulkenberg, Yuki Tsunoda and Albon, Lawson, Sainz, Piastri and Ollie Bearman, Antonelli, Hayes, Isaac Hadjar and Hamilton, Gasly, Stroll, Lando Norris and Fernando Alonso, Leclerc, Doohan, Russell and Gabriel Bortoleto rounds off the grid. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. And with me for this commentary this afternoon, former racing driver Naomi Schiff. Oh, Canada. Oh, Canada. What a track this is. And what a challenge for the drivers this weekend. Long straights, heavy braking zones, and a very green surface to start with.
This happens to be one of the drivers' favorites. It is a low downforce circuit that is fast and flowing, but it is also demanding on the brakes. And be careful, because let's not forget the wall of champions that catches out so many.
Okay, let's have a comms check, please. Radio check. Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
The vibe amongst the team is absolutely electric. We all know that we've got a very good shot at the race win here today. The alternate strategy is what we're going to go for here, but we're going to customize it though. We're going to switch it up to starting on the mediums to lap 11, boxing for the hard compound tyres, going all the way to lap 24, and then finishing the race on the medium compound tyres as we sit on the front row of the grid. And we're away for the Canadian Grand Prix here in Season 1. It's a very good start compared to Max Verstappen on those hard compound tyres. And we sweep across. And the grip is actually so good that I completely underestimated how much turn-in we're going to get. And I accidentally cut a little bit of the corner. But no harm, no foul. We play on. We're in the lead. Then we're leading ahead of Verstappen, Ocon, Hulkenberg, Tsunoda, as he gets himself ahead of Alex Albon there in P6. Liam Lawson sits just behind. Then it's the second Williams in P8. Both Williams doing really well. Bamman and Oscar Piastri. Piastri's had quite a quiet qualifying session and started off into the race as he now sits only P10. So fourth in the championship is a little bit further down. On board with us though, we're still trying to get a little bit of tire temperature into these mediums, but it looks like Max Verstappen has maybe fired up the hards a lot quicker as he looks to the outside at the hairpin. We're going to say no, but we interlock wheels and we're kind of stuck on him on the exit. For a second there, I thought Ocon was going to try and sneak through and get the both of us and see a Haas into the lead here in Canada. Canada has been a pretty good hunting ground for the Haas F1 team in real life, and it is proving to be once again here in this alternate F1 universe. Verstappen though, he'll go to the lead. I know at the moment, if somehow he's managed to get those hards into a much better window, so we're going to sit in behind and try and see if we can't use his pace to pull away from Nico Hulkenberg, now into third. The Sauber is in P3, ahead of Ocon and Yuki Tsunoda. Behind us though, George Russell, he hasn't been making up the progress that we've been expecting him to make, as now the engine has let go. His bad, terrible weekend has got so much worse for George Russell. The real-life pole sitter, the real-life race winner here in Canada is out on lap 2 of the Grand Prix, as his teammate now, the sole Mercedes left in this Grand Prix, gets himself inside the points. He dispatches Oscar Piastri there for the final points paying position, and Antonelli into the points. Our first objective of the Grand Prix, we need to get ourselves past Max Verstappen. So Mark definitely sees that our tyres should be well and truly into our window now, and it's time for us to kick up the pace just that extra notch, as his teammate now, Yuki Tsunoda, gets himself now up into P4. He's finally got himself past that Haas of Esteban Ocon. He's been trying to go for that move for quite some time now. Back on board with ourselves though, we're trying to get this move done as soon as we possibly can. We've dumped a heap of our ERS down this straight. We're going to get ourselves hopefully lined up for a run at him down the main straight, but I have a bit of a wiggle there going through the chicane, so maybe the run has been ended, but we're gaining so quickly. Have these straight line upgrades that we've been trying to get finally come into effect, as that closing speed was just absolutely insane, and we now take the lead back from Max Verstappen here in Canada. Liam Lawson, on the other hand, in the sister team Red Bull, he's looking to get himself now ahead of Alex Albon, and he'll go to the outside as they head into the chicane, and he gets himself now up into 6th position. Back on board with ourselves though, Max Verstappen, he's not letting this one go. He looks to the outside, but he swings it to the inside, catches me unawares just a little bit there actually. I was just too busy trying to see if I can't position my car just right for him to not even try and show a nose. In the end, we get the better exit on these softer compound tyres, but we still have this long straight where he's got the DRS advantage now to try and defend from him, and we managed to pipe the car just perfectly in the center of the road, enough for him to get turned away from any sort of a possible overtaking opportunity to go into that chicane. Albon though gets himself back ahead of Liam Lawson, so the Williams, the straight line of that car, proving to be absolutely wicked once again. Riding on board with him here, you can just see how smooth the inputs here that Alex Albon is being able to put in. That Williams is actually looking like a really nice car to be driving at the moment, as he now tries to look to see if he can't get himself back to the gearbox of Yuki Tsunoda ahead of him, as he gets a bit of a slide going, and he's in the fence. Alex Albon has just got the position back from Liam Lawson. He's put it in the fence, and it is a safety car. This has actually come at a pretty good time, to be fair. We're going to be boxing. I'm going to box this lap, because by the time the safety car goes green again, it's going to be lap 11, which is when we're meant to be going in for our pits, and just confirming there, Mark is on the same page. We need to box this lap. It's a free pit stop, and Alex Albon just dropped the rear and put it into the fence. Actually, a really big impact. So it's very, very weird to see that the car just hasn't completely destroyed itself. Usually an impact like that, these cars just buckle, and, you know, that would have easily been a race-ending incident. But Alex Albon is still very much in this race as we come into the lane now. But so does Max Verstappen. So does Nico Hulkenberg. I reckon pretty much the entire field is going to be coming into the lane here. It's pretty much rocked up right on the pit window. Even for the people on the hard compound tyres, they're coming in as well for a pit stop. And Verstappen is now onto the medium. So we've essentially done a swap of what tyres we're on. Lewis Hamilton, though, he's stayed out. So we're going to try and beat him to the safety car line. But we've overcooked it, and we're in the grass. And that is going to allow Max Verstappen to take the lead. Well, theoretical lead back away from us. My God. Have I just bottled this so badly? Not only is Verstappen now on the faster compound tyres, but I've now just led him ahead of us. And he's now got a 10-second penalty. Was that for possibly overtaking us? Has he... I don't know what's going on there. All I can say is that the game has given it to him for ignoring yellow flags. Maybe has me going off actually ruined Max Verstappen's race, because I don't see any other reason why he could have received a 10-second penalty. A 10-second penalty is going to be a really big one. So he's definitely going to have to come in for another pit stop, you know, because he's on the medium compound tyres. They're not going to go to the end of this Grand Prix. So he's going to have to come in for another pit stop and stay stationary for an extra 10 seconds, which is going to be possibly a race ender. So this has just now played very, very well into our hands, as we're actually caught a little bit napping there on the safety car restart. I was still weaving the try and get a bit of tyre temperature into the tyres. We're going to time this to absolute perfection, and now we're going to send it down the inside of Lewis Hamilton, and wow, that was a move from P3 into the lead of the Grand Prix. We've immediately dispatched a very slow Lewis Hamilton on the worn tyres. He's decided to stay out on those hards. Max Verstappen took advantage of that as well, and he has now got himself up into P2. So maybe the red mist has descended on Verstappen. He's absolutely filthy that he's got himself that penalty as he tries to send it down our inside, but he can't get it done. We've got the better exit on him, but now he's going to have the slipstream. No DRS just as of yet. We still have to wait to the next lap for the DRS to become activated, and I'm just going to back out of it, and we're going to sit behind Max Verstappen. I get a big wash of dirty air and sends me wide off of the chicane, and that has now created quite the gap, and you can see that he has now also broken the DRS, so I now no longer have any ways down the straights to try and gain a bit of time back on him. So I am pushing these hard tyres quite hard to try and make sure that I stay somewhat with him. Even though it's a 10-second penalty, I've got a big margin. Just visually, I would like to stay nice and close to him as Nico Hulkenberg now gets himself up onto the podium. Remember, Hulkenberg, he has come in for a pit stop, so that is a genuine P3 for Nico Hulkenberg. We managed to stay ahead of Lewis Hamilton, so Mark, knowing that Lewis Hamilton on those older tyres, if he was to get past us, it was going to be absolutely terrible for our race. But in the end, we've gapped him by 8 seconds. So this is definitely playing into our favour so far this Grand Prix. Yuki Tsunoda, Max Verstappen's teammate, sweeps it around the outside of Esteban Ocon, and he is going to try and get himself up into P5, but Ocon has done really well to keep it around the outside, and this is now allowing Liam Lawson to get in on this, and he is swerving all the way back there, trying to see if he can't get his way through these two as they kind of create a little bit of a roadblock going through the hairpin, and they'll continue to go side by side. It's going to be Tsunoda, though, with the DRS advantage, but in front of them, Lewis Hamilton, though, he has found a second life in these tyres as he now goes to third place ahead of Nico Hulkenberg, and that is Tsunoda now up into P5. He also gets himself ahead of Esteban Ocon. Further behind, though, Oscar Piastri, he is looking to try and dispatch our teammate Sonny Hayes to get himself now up into the points. And Piastri, he's had a very, very quiet weekend, considering he's 4th in the points. I've said this before, 4th in the points, and he's had a very, very mediocre weekend. So for him to be battling our teammate to get himself just into the points is very odd for an Oscar Piastri standard race, as Carlos Sainz now, he's looking to get himself ahead of Liam Lawson, so the mid-top 10 is absolutely on fire at the moment with the battles going on. It doesn't look like he's been able to get it. No, he's side by side with Liam Lawson, and right behind is Kimi Antonelli, the one Mercedes left in this Grand Prix after George Russell's DNF on lap 2 due to an engine failure. So I'm sure that's playing in the back of Antonelli's mind, and knowing that his teammate's engine went kaboom and his could at any moment as well. Carlos Sainz, though, he's got the DRS advantage going down this straight. Is he going to be able to make the move finish? Yes, he does. And so that started from the second back straight there, midway through the lap, and finished at the chicane. So essentially half a lap that took for that overtake to get completed, as Max Verstappen now comes into the lane for his second and final pit stop. But this is going to be expected to be a long stop. And is the crew immediately getting to work? No, they're not. So he is staying stationary for an entire 10 seconds before he's allowed to start his pit stop. And he'll be, I can see it there, they're holding a set of medium compound tyres. So Verstappen on the mediums, he is going to be absolutely rapid when it comes out. And if the red mist wasn't already there from getting the penalty, is absolutely going to be there now, with him having to make up all of that lost time. On the other hand, though, we are now in the lane for our final pit stop. Hopefully, this is going to be a good stop. The pressure is going to be taken off of the guys and girls here down the pit lane, as we've got a bit of a buffer, but we still make the mistake. There was an issue with one of the rear tyres, and that is going to cost us a little bit of time. It's a 4.9, so it's nearly double the length of our standard pit stop. So yeah, that did not go great, but luckily, because of Max Verstappen's penalty, we do have a little bit of a buffer. And behind us, the two Ferraris are bailing it out. Lewis Hamilton gets himself ahead of Charles Leclerc, and look who's right there, Max Verstappen, as he charges and uses that extra grip that he's got on those mediums to get himself ahead of Charles Leclerc as well. He's now going to be trying to hunt down Lewis Hamilton to get himself now up into P4, and I can just only imagine how disgustingly angry Max Verstappen is currently under that helmet. Yuki Tsunoda pulls into the pits, so the second Red Bull is going to be going onto the soft compound tyres. A very interesting strategy from Red Bull to throw him onto the softs. Nico Hülkenberg, though, he is looking to get himself up into P4. The podium, unfortunately for him, has slipped away. The Ferraris have actually pulled off a really good strategy. Leclerc, though, he hasn't been able to make his way through the field. The strategy for Leclerc hasn't been right on par, but the strategy for Lewis Hamilton has been elite. And as I was just singing my praises for Ferrari and Lewis Hamilton, he locks it up at the hairpin and allows Max Verstappen to come through. So this is now bad news for me, because there is 6 laps to go and Max Verstappen is now going to be taking down the gap, and only a lap later the gap is now down half a second and is closing. That gap is actually coming down. So I'm now a little bit nervous, but I'm still relatively calm, knowing that I've got the 6.5 seconds and the laps will be counting down relatively quick. We did have a objective pop up on the screen there that we need to achieve a fast lap time, so Mark knows that we need to essentially bounce back and respond to Max Verstappen's pace and try and put in a good quick lap time to maybe discourage Verstappen from pushing insanely hard to try and get himself that race victory, a 7th victory in a row it would be if he's able to complete it. We'll cross the line now and we'll absolutely annihilate that lap time that he set us. It was a 15.7, we did a 13.9, so well and truly over a second quicker than what he wanted, as now Tsunoda has got himself back ahead of Oscar Piastri. While I was speaking earlier, we saw Piastri get himself ahead of Tsunoda. Tsunoda's now back ahead of Piastri, and now Piastri's looking to try and get himself back ahead of Yuki Tsunoda. It is all cracking away now at the end of this Grand Prix. He does get himself now up into P7. Those soft compound tyres are not doing what they're meant to be doing, as Hülkenberg, no! Hülkenberg has got an engine failure in the exact same way George Russell did, and he's going to pull it off at turn 1, and that is his day done. He was looking like he could get a P4, a P5, and that would have been amazing for the Sauber team there. And Antonelli, he now gets himself up to P7. That is another position lost for Tsunoda, so the soft compound tyre is definitely not a race tyre. Our teammate now has his turn to get himself past Tsunoda, and that gets him up into 8th position. But back on board with us, we've only got one lot of corners to navigate now. It is the chicane. We do not hit the Wall of Champions, and we will survive the Canadian Grand Prix, and we will win our first Grand Prix, and it's the first win for APXGP as well. This one has been so deserved.
Well, it's victory, and what a victory for Joshua Pearce.
And they led every single lap of the race. It was a lights to flag victory, and that is total dominance.
From lights out to the checkered flag, this is what they're racing for. It's points and a trip to the podium.
We join a pretty cool list of drivers claiming their first ever race victory here in Canada, which is something to definitely take home. The pressure was definitely taken off a little bit when Max Verstappen received that penalty under the safety car, but I feel like the pace was definitely there even without Verstappen's hiccup to take a victory here. These upgrades that have come in have changed the car. This car is completely different and I am in love with it. The rest of the top 10 is Esteban Ocon for Haas claiming massive points for the team. Carlos Sainz, Oscar Piastri, Kimi Antonelli, our teammate, ended up in P8 making a double points finish for the team. Yuki Tsunoda and Lando Norris. He worked his way back from a Q1 exit to take a singular point, very important in this championship. George Russell is the non-finisher, and even though Nico Hülkenberg suffered that engine failure, he is actually classified 4 laps down in this Grand Prix. Max Verstappen extends his championship lead despite the winning streak coming to an end, and it's now a 71-point lead over Lando Norris. Yuki Tsunoda is in third, 109 points behind. Myself in seventh, 19 points behind George Russell. Sonny Hayes, he breaks inside the top 10 now. He's 3 points behind Jack Doohan. Red Bull lead the Constructors' Championship by 82 points to McLaren. That's Ferrari in third, 147 points behind. APXGP in fifth, now only 3 points behind Mercedes. And we have now scored enough points to earn the championship points accolade. And that comes with a ton of experience, 2,500 experience, which is going to look very nice against our driver ratings. We've also won my championship points rivalry against Jack Doohan, but unfortunately, on the other hand, we have lost the driver rating rivalry against his teammate Pierre Gasly. And speaking of the driver ratings, let's have a look at them. So it's experience to level 79, racecraft to level 82, awareness gains some points, the pace is to level 87, our focus is to level 81 for an overall driver rating of level 84, so looking very good, and it's a big jump to level 84 as well. Our driver recognition remains at 54%, and now it is time to chill out a little bit. We've got quite a few things on the card here. You'll see a few upgrades there to come in as well, so hopefully we can just continue improving this car, and we're going to a track that I absolutely love, the Red Bull Ring. And so definitely looking forward to next episode. And that will do it for this episode. So please make sure to like and subscribe if you did enjoy. And I'll see you for the next episode where we take on the Austrian Grand Prix.